Welcome to another BIMA event, and thank you to Mullen for hosting us today. It's a really lovely space, and it's just around the corner from our offices, so I'm really happy. I'm just going to take a couple of minutes to tell you a little bit about BIMA. I know there'll be lots of members in the room, but just in case you need reminding. And I'm going to kick off by playing you a really short film, if that's all right, with some other faces.
I joined BIMA because I knew that I needed to really sort of get outside of the bubble that was our company with the people that I knew about and start getting a real sense of where the industry was going.
They're kind of a social support group. They are all about education, they're all about community. BIMA allows its members to co-create the future of digital.
That's inspiring each other, learning from each other, that's driving innovation and change.
Celebrate and champion and welcome lots of different people with lots of different experiences. It's energetic, it's a really high caliber community because it's able to bring together all these different businesses.
BIMA meets talent.
Create a strong bond and unity between them.
Engaging with the ecosystem, meeting new companies, meeting people with new ideas.
And we get to learn and share with each other.
I think it felt like a really safe environment to talk about some of the commercial challenges that we're all facing.
It's far more about the kind of the people, the process.
You're only ever like a couple of clicks away from someone who knows, has a definitive point of view about a certain topic.
And everything that's involved in creating something.
A showcase or a platform to celebrate and do great work.
It's a way of staying on the pulse with different sorts of trends in creative industries as well as what new technologies are.
It is the foremost body for digital professionals in Britain. There's like one big happy family.
They said it all, really. You're our high caliber community, by the way. So we are the representative body for the digital tech industry in the UK. Everything we do, and we do a lot, is there to drive innovation and excellence across that industry. We are doing about 100 events a year at the moment. And that's everywhere from Edinburgh, Glasgow, down to Bristol and Bournemouth, and quite a bit of London in between. And it is all about building connection with the community, delivering really high quality thought leadership, recognising excellence through the awards, and driving a diverse future, which is incredibly important to us. Just very briefly, who that community is, other than the people sitting next to you. So we're a membership association by trade, about 400 corporate members, and that is really, I guess, our heritage as digital agencies and full service agencies, but increasingly brands, academia, so lots of universities wanting to be part of this conversation, startups, and of course tech companies, big and small. And then I can't not talk about the councils because that's partly why we're here today and talking about blockchain. So we're quite unique in the way we run. We are led by 18 different councils, and we actually ask our membership for submissions for new councils every year, which is slightly scary. So these are our 18. I won't go through all of them, but as I said, kind of geographically. We have our craft council, so data, creative, talent and diversity. If you don't know, we released a diversity in digital report. We released the survey a few months ago. We'll be releasing the report next month, 10th of April, breakfast launch. If you're interested in finding out the results of that survey, just give us a shout and we'll get you an invite to the launch. Apprenticeships, mentoring, universities, industry, to allow brands and startups and charities to have a voice within the community, and think tanks. And that's really why we're here today. I think last year, David, can't see you. Someone. Right at the back. Submitted an application to have a blockchain council, and that's why we Blockchain Council. It's chaired by David and Rob, and it's going to be a great one. Before I hand over to Rob to host today's proceedings, I cannot leave without talking about the BIMA Awards. We are open for entry now. There's quite a few changes this year, so we have our digital awards, so websites and apps, emerging tech, data and performance marketing, etc., etc. But we also have launched 13 unlucky number, but anyway, sector awards, so things like automotive, health, retail and fashion, FMCG, financial, and then we have our 3 kind of advanced awards that are for things that are very important to us at BIMA. So one for talent and diversity initiatives, startup of the year, and back, I think it's returning after a couple of years of hiatus, student of the year as well. So 8th of May is the deadline, but submit a lot earlier because I all know you like to do. And I will hand over to Rob. So Rob is our co-chair of Blockchain and also CEO of Wirehire.
They gave me an account, so I get to
Hello everybody. Familiar faces. All right? Yeah? Blockchain. Let's put a show of hands. Would you just say, by show of hands now, that you know what blockchain is? Hand up if you think you do. I'm not going to test you. I might test you. Okay, that's good. All right, so that's really. So apologies if you're in the minority. What that means is we're probably not going to over-labour the what is blockchain stuff today too much, because I think we've only got an hour, right? So it'd be nice to try and get through some of the stuff a little bit of a layer beyond that. If at the end of this you're thinking, what is it? Come and see me. I'm happy to hang around, talk about it. We've got lots of our members from the council here today who are involved in the industry in different ways. Before we kick off, let's talk a little bit about why we did this. So I've been part of BIMA for a while. By day, I run a business called Wirehire, which is kind of tech and cloud consultancy. We do a lot of work with emerging technologies, so we're always looking for areas of interest. We've been doing data and AI work a lot recently, for example. Blockchain is something that I've had one eye on since really sort of 2008, 2009, when Bitcoin was kind of popularised it, but it's something slightly different, came to the market and kind of emerged. And I think a lot of people, particularly who've been involved in the internet, like I have my whole career, see blockchain as maybe a kind of little bit of a paradigm shift that maybe will give way to this kind of Web3 notion that I think Matt's going to touch on a bit in his talk. So when it was council refresh time, David and I were both very focused on this idea that blockchain is going to be a disruptive force in our industry, in technology and digital. And so BIMA really needs to have a voice on this and help with events like this, frankly, but also with content, and just try and give us all a bit of insight into what's possible, what's coming, how it might impact us, how it might impact our clients. So today we've got 3 fantastic members of the Blockchain Council to give you kind of short perspective of what they're doing and how they're involved with it, and then we're going to do a panel, maybe a bit of Q&A, so if you see something you want to ask, we'll give you an opportunity to throw a few questions at the end. And hopefully leave you with a bit more insight into some of the stuff that's actually going on, from an investment perspective, what people are building, how it's actually being used today, and maybe what might come next as well. You're in the right room. Awesome. Everyone still looks happy, so that's good stuff. Right, let me hand over to Katie to kick us off. Katie, what should I do? Round of applause everybody for Katie.
So I'm going to call bullshit on quite a lot of the blockchain stuff at the moment. So apologies if this is preaching to the converted, but it's still an issue that we have externally with a lot of corporates, is they think they know what blockchain is, but they don't really. So here am I, I'm co-founder of a lab, and we're also a small-time investor into early stage startups in the blockchain space that are focused on B2B products. No crypto, none of that. We look at the enterprise side of blockchain, and so hence the kind of calling bullshit on quite a lot of it. So these are some, I'm going to just talk you through 3 things that we get a lot that is not true around blockchain. So it's free. It's not free. It's not cheap. You're going to run a blockchain system. It's expensive. You have multiple nodes that you're having to look after. So just get that out of your head right now. It's not free. And it's great for storing data. It's great for low volume, low density data, but it's not great for MasterCard to store data because the volumes of transactions that they have going through their systems, it's just not an efficient way of using the data structures that are underlying when it comes to blockchain. And then it can be used for anything and everything. We get that a lot from the startup community especially. Everyone jumped on the blockchain hype bandwagon and stuck blockchain on the end of their business name, so their valuations went through the roof. But realistically, when you look at what the properties are around the technology, most of the time people really don't need blockchain. They can do it with some other technology that's probably far more efficient and far cheaper. So this is still what we hear about all the time, and absolutely, this is an application and a use case for blockchain technology, but it's not the be-all and end-all. There is a lot more to this tech out there from an enterprise perspective. So we keep bringing people back to this point because I still get people who go, oh, blockchain, so you do Bitcoin? No, there is far more to it than just the cryptocurrency world. That's an application. So the way we describe blockchain, and everyone has a slightly different way of doing this, but we say it's a technology that establishes counterparty trust without a third party through cryptographic authentication. Pretty straightforward way of explaining it. People usually get it when they look at this like, oh, okay. Basically, you have an issue with trust or of storing or sharing data points. It's usually a pretty good use case for the technology, especially when you have multiple parties that are sharing that data that don't necessarily trust one another. This is what I see right now a lot in the startup world. So I'm coming from very much the startup tech world. For a blockchain company, what does that mean? You're not telling me anything. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to shift the conversation from, for a blockchain company, to we are solving this problem for these people and we just happen to use the technology because it's the best way of doing it. So of the 7 startups that we have in our lab right now, none of them lead with the technology, they lead with the problem that they're solving. We need corporates to think more like this because we get a lot of corporates that come to us at the lab and go, we want to do a blockchain project. And I go, okay, for what for? Why? What problem are you trying to solve? So we're trying to always shift the conversation from the technology to the problems that the technology can solve. Because ultimately, technology is an enabler, it shouldn't be the driver for any business. It's not going to save the world, we get this a lot. It's going to reinvent the entire world and everyone's going to use blockchain for everything and everything from now to the end of time. It's really not, but it can do some really cool shit if it's used in the right way. And it can actually do some really cool shit that actually really helps people. So we have 2 or 3 companies in our lab right now who are social impact companies that are using the tech to solve data issues, but has a real social impact element that then comes to that. So our techies downstairs it's just Taco Bell engineering, and I was like, what the hell is Taco Bell engineering? Can you just break this down for me? I'm not a techie. And basically he was like, it's the same ingredients in a different order. So the 3 main areas around blockchain are computer networking, cryptographic hashing, and asymmetric signing schemes. These have been around since the 70s. It's not new tech. All we've done is we've figured out a new way of putting stuff together to get a slightly different outcome. So if we try and think about the tech in this way, that helps to break down barriers of entry, especially for startups going into corporates. Because corporates get all this. It's when you start talking about blockchain that they go, oh, well, hang on, what does that mean? So again, it's that change of mindset of it's just the same ingredients, different. So I'm going to just whiz through a couple of what we call real shit, shall we say. And these are just some use cases that we have internally that have nothing to do with cryptocurrencies and are very much B2B focused. Now, I appreciate they're not necessarily agency focused. However, these have applications into the corporate world. So Deputy basically are a smart corporate memory. They are run by a team. Lexa is their CEO. She has 30 years of experience as a corporate COO for big investment banks. She knows what she's doing. She knows the pain points that come from an operational perspective. And they're very much focused on the SME market. It has an element of AI in it. Took another buzzword in there, because why not? But actually, the more you put into the system, the more it learns about your type of company, the more it can recommend things from an insurance perspective. I'm an ops person, so I totally get the use cases for this. It would make my life 10 times easier. But they are getting some great traction right now from the corporate world because they go, oh, okay, well, this just basically puts all of my boring information into one point, and it has a Slack integration, which for tech companies we all use Slack. Great. Remixology, their CEO is here in the room, so if anyone wants to, Johnny, wait. If anyone wants to know more, go speak to Johnny. But they are basically the first dedicated marketplace to the art of remixing. Again, these guys don't lead with the technology, they lead with the problem that they're solving. Huge amounts of industry knowledge, and they're coming from a background that they know the issues that are out there. And ultimately, these are the kind of teams that we're seeing have the most success with the tech, because they're coming out of industry knowing that there's an issue and they're solving it. And they've worked out that, okay, we've gone through all the other technology, and actually blockchain is our last point of call because it solves the problems that we're having. And My Resonance is a social recognition platform for business. So it's all around the CSR piece. Very much comes into HR budgets. But what they're doing is they're basically trying to get corporates to reward staff for being good people. We know the workforce is changing in the way we see things. We're not always interested in money anymore. We're very much interested in being rewarded and being recognised, especially Generation Z, whatever you want to call them, coming through. All very much focused around this. And these guys basically said, people do good things every day. Even just walking to work makes you a better person than if you get on a tube or on a car. So why don't we recognise that? And then the way they do that is the only kind of token, but not from the cryptocurrency side, that actually comes into play. They reward people with a resonance token. A corporate can reward their staff that they can then spend to give to charities. So it's not you get money yourself, you give it to a charity of your choice. It can be done in teams as well. Really, really great way of an organisation interacting with staff in a much more positive way. So those were just 3 applications of the technology that have nothing to do with the hype that's happened over the last 18 months, per se. And we think really show if you lead with problems rather than technology, you can actually find some pretty viable businesses. I'm just going to leave you with my very basic version, and I'm really sorry if I'm dumbing this down for you all, of our blockchain checklist. It's what we go through whenever we look at a startup, when we're evaluating whether we are going to invest in them or whether we're going to bring them into our lab. Are there multiple writers of the data directly? If there are, okay, probably pretty good use, tick that box. You can't always use an online trusted third party. It might be for political reasons, for financial reasons, whatever it is. You can't always have a trusted third party online. You want to hold everyone accountable to what they do. So if you need to track who's put what where, and you want to hold them accountable to that, again, usually a pretty good sign that you need the technology. And it's also important for everyone to verify an action. So everyone who's involved in your network needs to verify that yes, that's okay, and so it can move forward. And finally, we just go back to, could you just use a database? Because if you could, the answer is you probably should. I've heard a lot of people say, oh yeah, but that's just simplifying it. Yeah, it definitely does simplify it, of course. But ultimately, a lot of the times, when we see the data structures that people are using and why they're using the technology, they should just use the database. So I'm just going to leave you with this. This was my favourite blockchain hype. I'm sure you all know what company this was. But it's just to resonate with everyone how hype has led to the emergence of tech in a good way and also a negative way. Like 5 points for anyone who knows what company this is. I know you know.
It's God, what are they called? It's Arizona Iced Tea.
Long Island Iced Tea, yeah. They decided to chuck blockchain in their name, and overnight their share price skyrocketed. Shows you the ridiculousness of the hype around the tech. But just wanted to leave you with that little one. I appreciate I've given you a whiz through of blockchain from our perspective, but hopefully it was useful from a non-technical way. Cool. Okay.
Thank you very much, Katie. Perfect way to kick off with a healthy dose of cynicism. When Katie said she'd love to get involved in the council, and I met Katie for the first time, and she basically did that for half an hour, I was like, yes, we need some more of this, because there's not enough of that going on. And I think the could you use a database question is one that does come up a lot. But I think those examples look great, because there are definitely things that you can't do without blockchain technology as well. Right? You just heard a lot about, oh, well, there's loads of stuff you could do a different way, and actually if you can, you should. But there are occasionally things that simply couldn't have been done any other way, or that you can do in a dramatically better way by using the technology. And I think those are the things, those gems that we're all looking for, that might change business models, change industries, change our businesses. So, thanks, Katie. Right, next up is Matt. Matt I'll let him introduce himself, but I think the one thing I will underline, because he's very humble and may not do this himself, is the research work that Matt's Business Outlet Ventures is doing is genuinely fantastic. They are producing these incredible long-form reports. I sort of teased him that they're becoming the Gartner of blockchain, right? But exactly, when you've got their fees. If you're interested in this area and you want to do some slightly long-form reading to really immerse yourself in what's going on, I really don't think, personally, there's a better publication in the UK to do that than what Team Outlier are doing. So there's a big interest for that. Round of applause for Matt, everybody.
Hello, everybody. A little bit about me. I worked in agencies for a long time, and then a couple of years ago I started getting more and more interested in this space. Partly because I think of two reasons. One, there's a growing realization in the industry and in the world, I guess, generally, that there's an increasing amount of, I guess, centralization in the way that the internet runs. And most people's time online is spent on 5 different websites, when the internet was intended to be a decentralized, distributed system. And because I think some of the stuff that people talk about the fourth industrial revolution, this sort of new wave of real innovation that's come through, sort of requires a different internet architecture to work properly. And so I have, I guess, a slightly more utopian, more ambitious expectation, although perhaps a longer-term horizon than some of the stuff that Katie was talking about there, which I also very much agree with in terms of what's been going on in the last couple of years. That's backwards and that's forwards. And I suppose I realised as I was writing this presentation that I'm getting older, and I've been through 3 sort of phases of the web. When I started my career, about the year 2000, the internet was the information superhighway. It was all about information. The big dominant players were companies like AOL. It was pages on screens and giving people access to that universal library in their pocket. As the sort of Web 2 came along, the social web, interactivity, the read-write web became a big thing. And at that time, in the last few years, everyone's been talking about digital transformation. Like, this transformation has happened, and now we have to educate corporations about how they can catch up. Which is partly true, but I think it's also true that this isn't even the end of the beginning of the change, which this technology is going to give to us. And there's increasingly some talk about what comes next. And my view is, and what that is that it's digitizing and automating everything else that hasn't happened, which is nearly everything. And I think one of the key things in which where that will come from is through a genuinely economic internet. And I'll talk a little bit about that. So, like I mentioned, the internet was intended to be a distributed system. And what's happened is, because of these massive economies of scale in terms of how data is collected and then optimized and monetized, it's meant that the internet is increasingly becoming centralized. And that is a problem for a couple of reasons. One, because it does mean that we end up in a situation where we have a lot of essentially monopolistic companies. Now, these companies in themselves are not bad, and I don't think any of the people in these companies are doing bad things. But what it does do is there are some externalities which mean that the way in which data is controlled and monetized, I think people don't realise that their data has value for itself. And also, as AI comes on stream and people are able to make more and more value out of that, it means that it's something that maybe should be a public good, or should be something that's to the benefit of all societies, actually being monetized by industrial content. And I think one of the things we need to ensure is that we take that sort of don't be evil mantra and turn it into can't be evil. And I think decentralization and distributed ledgers enable that to happen. And what I'm going to come off to say really is that blockchain, I think, and distributed systems generally, is a fundamental enabling technology for that, and also for or something else that we spend a lot of time thinking about and talking about, which is the Internet of Things, right? And the billions of things that will be in the Internet of Things, maybe even more than that. And so lots and lots of people are sort of spending time thinking about this. Mobility, future mobility, smart cities, identity and government and all that sort of stuff. But you think about what do these innovations actually require? And I think one, as a society, we need privacy in a way that maybe we hadn't really thought about or appreciated until these things start happening. Two, we need vast amounts of compute power. Three, fundamentally, we need peer-to-peer transaction systems. When you think about it, and I think specifically when you just take away all of the sort of like what is it and how does it work, when you think about how is, in the future way, right, how is it that my mobility system, my autonomous car or whatever, is going to communicate with all of these other elements of the city? Is it going to transfer 0.01 pence to some road toll, to something that this is not going to happen through going through centralised systems or through bank accounts? There has to be a direct serverless digital transfer system of value. And so, very, very broadly speaking, and Katie touched on a lot of this, there's a fundamental enabling technology that blockchains is one of the systems, one of the kind of the technology implementations of distributed systems that will be provided, that enable peer-to-peer trust, that enable privacy, that create sort of economic incentive systems, and critically allow a machine-to-machine economy of microtransactions to really, really work. And a lot of the conversation after the, oh my goodness, what's all this hype and what's all this nonsense, has been, well, how does that actually work? And what's there? Hang on, tell me about that, and let me understand it, right? Which I think is important, particularly for us as professionals, but then also, you or I, do not spend time thinking about TCP/IP every time we open up an internet browser. And every time I send an email, I don't go, let me just check if this SMTP is really going to work this time. It just works. And for most people in the world, probably will not appreciate or ever have to deal with any crypto stuff, right? What's going to happen is there's going to be a new series of protocols or messaging formats or whatever you want to call them in the background that enables a new type of economic activity to take place. Where was it going next? And just to really, really simplify that, so as a sort of an example, I think what we do is we talk, our background is in open source tokenized networks. That's what we incubate and we support the development of those and invest in them. But really, when it comes down to it, what we're doing is we're enabling next generation data technologies. And I think that the main thing, which I'd like you guys to take away from this, is that there is a kind of a new technology architecture which is being built alongside or on top of the sort of like the traditional internet. And the best way to think about that is in terms of flow of data. So if you just call it IoT, but it could be sensors or any other type of stuff. There's a whole load of new data which is being produced, right? Which sort of needs to be produced and enter data ecosystems so it can be monetized or used in some way. Then there's a means of distributing that data, so how it's authenticated, validated, secured, transported, exchanged, whatever that thing might be. And sort of peer-to-peer distributed blockchain type systems will enable that. And then there is a sort of a artificial intelligence layer, which is essentially consumption and action and insight layer. And I think these are there are sort of three things coming in which complement one another, we believe, and what we're trying to do is we're trying to help develop that through supporting startups in that area. There's a more complicated version of that Rob mentioned, which we call the convergence stack, which sort of talks about a number of different fundamental technologies and areas that need to be developed for this to come into fruition. You can find more on our website, outlineventures.io. Looking forward to hearing questions. Thank you very much.
That's awesome. Just going to pause on that for another minute. I remember those when Web 2 turned up. Does anyone else remember that? Everyone was talking about how's it all going to fit together, what are the different pieces we need, the vision's great. I back this, I really do. Not necessarily that these are the things that will fill the boxes, just as with Web 2, there were loads of projects that everyone were really excited about that died out because they were the hot new thing on Hacker News that week or whatever. Hacker News didn't exist, obviously. So just starting to think about it in this way, about how the stack's going to come together, I think is really inspiring, frankly, about what might come next. And I couldn't agree more with this idea that when technology succeeds, it fades away. Like, all of us have used endless, amazing technology today to get here. Think about just the sophistication of what is involved in a contactless payment. No one talks about it. No one thinks about the payment rails and scaling, all the challenges that it has. So, yeah, I think that's when we'll know this has succeeded and it's here to stay, is when we stop talking about it, weirdly, unless it's like your job to do blockchain stuff, which for some of us might be true. So, thank you very much for that. That's a great kind of primer. And last but not least, what a lovely photo. It's the name of
Thank you, everyone. And apologies, you're going to have to look at that photo the entire time I'm talking to you. So by way of an introduction and an excuse and a context, I've just come back from South by, so I haven't had time to put together any slides. But it also means that I've got some pretty hot takes and some inspiration, having listened to people who are far more insightful than I am, and I'm here to distribute those out. So, as a business, Pragmatic, we're like a pretty Web2 company. We do WordPress projects for enterprise and publishers, brands, etc. I kind of came across blockchain, I guess, fairly late on, like a couple of years ago. I walked in, saw one of my developers with this super cool monitoring screen, and I was like, wow, is that like some sort of monitoring thing we built for our clients to make sure their applications are working really well? I was like, no, I'm mining Ethereum at home. that was really it. I took the red pill, went down the rabbit hole. I've been really fascinated ever since I realised that actually what blockchain does probably disrupts everything that we do today as a business. So really it's a kind of hedge against that disruption and trying to get ahead of that kind of wave of disruption that is definitely coming. So we've done some implementation projects with blockchain. We've built integration into WordPress's e-commerce ecosystem for their cloud-based commerce's merchant tools. But we've done far more consultancy, and I think that's probably reflective of where the state of the technology is. There's more thinking, more planning than there is implementation for most businesses, unless you're actually working with the tech. So I'm going to talk a little bit about challenges as to like why blockchain is important, and also opportunities, because it's very easy to contextualize like why this is important by looking at the things that we have now, rather than thinking about where this is all going. And then I'm going to try and kind of group some of those ways that blockchain can help into the way that I think about it helping, which might be obvious. So the first one, like a real recurring theme, that's how focus like data and privacy, and something I'm going to come back to a little bit. Here's something that freaked me out. When you use a captcha, i.e. tick this box so that you're not a robot, actually with machine learning, because they know who you are and because they're using mouse movement, tech companies can tell if you've got early onset Parkinson's disease before you can, because your mouse moves differently. When Uber want to get a license to operate in a city, they've got a more effective mobilisation models in the citizens that want to use that service than government at the moment really muster as a defence. So if Uber want a license, if Google wants something, their ability to lobby and mobilise people is, I'd argue, outstripping what our kind of governance processes are and how they look a lot of the time. There are massive challenges with institutions outside of government, so universities versus self-learning, how does that play out over the next few years? But really, the heart of the matter is that the economic incentives for tech companies aren't really aligned with what society's most of us want. Right? So at the moment, the economic incentive for Google would be to sell your data about the fact that you've got early onset Parkinson's to your insurance companies so they can boost your premiums, rather than telling you. That is just the cold hard remit that companies have, and that's not cool. It's not the world that I want for my children. There's also this sort of massive power imbalance in AI, in that, like, when I speak to Amazon, I'm not speaking to people, I'm speaking to like software and AI and like collective knowledge from their millions and millions of customers and their interactions with those customers. On my end, it's just me. It's just my intelligence. And that feels like an imbalance. more and more. One thing that I know is like everything's getting smarter except for us. Smart cities, smart farming, smart everything. Except, yeah, I mean, there's a limit to what we can do ourselves. And then there's the kind of more global AI challenges of, you know, Western versus Eastern, US versus China versus EU. Like, how does all that stack up? How do we defend against it becoming like dystopian? Massive challenges with cybersecurity, massive challenges with globalization, like how these economies fit together, and you know, how we kind of protect impacts in one part of the world from like impacting other parts as well. But there are also some awesome opportunities. So those are the challenges. For me, one of the kind of, you know, Matt, your side showing Web 1, I kind of put a desktop computer with a cathode ray tube in that as the kind of the visualization. Web 2 is like us here, walking down the roads, typing, getting run over, looking like idiots. You know, I mean, it's amazing, the social Web 2, but it's also really shit in a lot of ways. So it is I'll do lots of swearing, sorry. For me, Web 3, that kind of digitization, the automation of everything is, you know, it's augmented reality, it's mixed reality. The web coming out of the web, coming out of the screens, out of the computers, and being just part of ambient everyday life, everyday interactions. So you think about websites, you go to a website and it's there no matter who you are. You know, obviously recommendation engines, etc. Actually, voice and bots are far more in line with what our normal human interactions are like. So voice is far field, it's always on, it's already personalised, we can have an individual conversation with it. And voice is just sort of one of the most obvious instantiations of what's going to come. Mixed reality is going to be far more immersive than that, and it's arguably what the kind of that next tech wave looks like. Once all of these things have converged and it's with us, it's when we're walking down the road. So probably going to run over 5 minutes. There are more human-machine interfaces coming along, like voice, Neuralink, etc. There's a next generation of tech infrastructure, as Matt said, things like state machines and edge compute, which are all kind of part of that next wave. There are incredible examples of, even with like centralized players, of incentivized behaviors. So let's talk about the design of Alipay, like the world's biggest mobile payment processor. They've got like an in-app mini game, and it's incentivizing people to take carbon positive sort of steps, walking, going to the gym, etc. You get rewards to plant trees, and the effect of that has been something like 55 million trees have been planted, and the effect is so big that NASA can see it from space, and that's like a little in-app thing. So when we design economies and incentives around the things that we want, society actually can have a massive impact, and there's huge hope in that. We can augment ourselves, there's amazing health advances that can come from using and sharing this data properly, nanotech, genetic engineering, all that stuff. So how to think about blockchain? I am going to group it into personal data, relationships, finance, software, and then talk a little bit about convergence and governance. Please feel free to check me, Ollie. So personal data. Did you know that you, as an individual, are basically producing 500 data points which are continually mineable? That is you. That's what Cambridge Analytica, Facebook, Google, etc. know about you, keep track about you. It doesn't really matter whether you have an account with these platforms or not. They are tracking these things. Tim Berners-Lee's got a project there called Solid to try and take back ownership of personal data. There's another talk by a guy who left Facebook called Clear, which was kind of really interesting. Think about electronic health records and the fact we should be able to take those with us. We can talk about self-sovereign identity. Is it the role of government to give us an identity, or is it our government? Is it our identity? Are they the university certifications, or are they ours? How do we manage for that in a world where we're self-learning? How do we take that data with us? The only real way I think we can balance some of the centralised monopolies is if I can just say, right, I'm turning off my Facebook account and enabling this other account, but I've kept all my data, and actually I'm just like, I'm swapping this, I'm not throwing away all this stuff, I've just got a different interface, I'm getting different services around that data, which is my friends, my data, my writing. And so where I see that kind of personal data side of things going is, the Dave Blocky API and the Dave Blocky bots and AIs. Why shouldn't I have an API that is me, that I can control access to? Why should I not have automated intelligent agents that are going out there bartering with Amazon, bartering with the websites that I visit for the data that I want to hand over? Relationships, I think, are really interesting. I'm going to probably have to skip some of this stuff. One of the clearest use cases for blockchain that I came across in South by was there's so much mixed reality stuff out there. And that's another technology where the promise is like vast, but they've got a massive distribution problem. Facebook have Oculus, that's kind of put a hamper on a lot of innovation in that space, and there's none of us are using augmented reality right now. But it feels like it's got to be the future, because we're going to wipe ourselves out if we keep staring at planes and getting run over by buses. And what's interesting about mixed reality is it actually requires a convergence of lots of different technologies. So you need 5G because you can't do all of that compute on device, because otherwise you end up wearing basically a helmet and being an Android. So you need to push some of that compute out to the cloud, to edge compute. So you need 5G, you need edge compute, you need the mixed reality hardware in its own right. But further, you need AI. So that has to be part of that. Here's the data that we've got. Here's your context. When I look at that thing, the machine needs to learn my exact position and overlay exactly the information that's right for me at that time. But the only way to really make the most of mixed reality is for it to be near real time. So I take a photo, I add some information, here's a delay, there's a thing, here's an opportunity, and you can experience that. And it can't be peer-to-peer because it has to go through all of this different tech architecture to get there. And so we have to embed usage rights for that content with the content. Right? There's no time for an intermediary to go, okay, well that's Creative Commons, we can use that, we can't use that, or especially as we more and more expect to get paid or rewarded or recognised for the content that we're individually producing. And smart contracts are really the only way that we can disintermediate and close that time down, so that we're, the content creation to experience cycle is fast enough. Microtransactions are going to change what we do in terms of web. I'm going to get called out for time here, aren't I, Holly? Okay, all right. Watch this space, for sure, if for no other reason than software is eating the world. And some of the key parts that blockchain plays in the software ecosystem is that they are programmable agreements backed by value transfer, guaranteed to be executable, and that is a vital part of what governance and systems and effective, efficient economies that will outwardly otherwise looks like. So that, pay attention to what's happening with the governance within blockchain projects and different content management component to a currency. And so some of the governance stuff that's happening in that space, I believe, will define how we cope with how software has changed the world as societies, not just within software. Sorry, everyone.
I can tell Dave just got back from South by. It takes me back. I was there this year as well. I got back 2 weeks ago. What have you been doing? enjoying Texas, thinking about blockchain. Totally agree. I think the whole software we leave the world quote turned out to be right, didn't it? I think it's fair to say, like, software has just continuously disrupted various industries. And I think the software thing worked in the context of this three-stage Web 1, 2, 3 description as well, because actually, in the Web 1 era, software went and disrupted all the things it could that the technology enabled it to. And then in the Web 2 era, the same thing kind of happened again. And it's like, we're at that point now where it's sort of like pushing at the seams a little bit. We're starting to run into some of the challenges that come from that. And I think that this next wave of technology, which is really a lot of the stuff we've all talked about so far, the data and AI stuff, different computing platforms, mixed reality, VR, AR, all that kind of stuff, improved connectivity, and this last piece of blockchain are the pieces of the puzzle that will just open up that next phase of disruption, right? So in this Web 3 phase, software, as Matt said, all on the spot.